Welcome to By George, an 80 Players podcast here at the George Theater. I am your host and marketing associate, Miranda Zabst, and today I have with me a songwriter, a playwright, a founder of many bands, and a writer of many musicals, the fabulous Neal Morse.
Hello.
We are putting on the most recent production, or the most recent songs that you've written, compiled into Brother Andrew, which is based on the book God, Smuggler.
Yes.
For our audiences, we did record a podcast over a year ago talking about all of this, so
it was really good.
It was so good. We genuinely, there was
it's
so
easy to
much,
say that when it doesn't
right,
exist.
Exactly. Yeah. But there was so much in it that was like just God's will and what is failure and what is success and how do we follow. Like there was so much in it that was so good, and I'm so sad that I don't have it anymore, or I don't have most of it anymore. I just have that piece of it. But so I might be referencing that interview if you hear me saying that.
The files got corrupted.
The files got corrupted. Yes. I lost the audio. It's very unfortunate. But anyways, yes, so we're putting on Brother Andrew. I'm so excited because now we're a lot closer.
We're a lot closer.
Yes, we're 4 days out from
a matter of days, yes. Soon to be hours.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's really exciting.
And when we were talking about it back then, you had just come out of, I think, another of the Metzler New Works kind of like writing sessions or like workshops, yes. And you were still working through Act 2. And so to think that we're here and it's already almost up is incredible.
Yeah.
But we'll get into all of that. First, for the audiences who don't know you yet, can you tell us a little bit of your story and how you kind of ended up here at 80 Players?
Wow. Oh, where do I begin to tell the story? Well, let's see. Well, I was raised in a musical family in California. I wanted to make it in the music business, and I wound up, so I was in LA trying to make it as a singer-songwriter mainly in LA, and then getting more and more miserable and becoming more of a partier, like our friend Brother Andrew. I have a lot in common with him. Of course, that's why we relate to things, is because we see ourselves in it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I started to get more and more miserable, and I became miserable enough to try to moving to Nashville to write country music. Ooh. I once said that at a Seventh-day Adventist college. I got asked to give my testimony, and I said that like God had to make me so desperate that I would even think about moving to Nashville and writing country music. And the whole place goes, ooh. And I went, I guess there's a lot of country music fans in Lincoln, Nebraska. That's where I was. Anyway, so I moved to Nashville in 95. I never really did anything in the music business there, but that's where I found my wife and the Lord. And that was also the time that my progressive rock career with this band that I'd started in LA. I started a band with my brother called Spock's Beard, and it actually started to get this underground following. And anyway, that in the latter half of the 90s, then I get married and have kids, and my career is starting to really go. And this guy named Mike Portnoy, who is the drummer in Dream Theater. He's back with Dream Theater now. He left for a little while, but now he's back. But at the time, he was a founder of Dream Theater, and he called me up and wanted to do a project with me. And so we wound up doing this band called Transatlantic, which was really quite successful. These Spock's Beard and Transatlantic made a pretty big splash in the very small pond of progressive rock. And that's around like 2000. And at the same time, I'm becoming a Christian. Like I'm starting to go to church and feel the Spirit of God, and the Word of God is starting to actually make sense to me for the first time. I'm starting to have those like, like those revelation moments, and just so many amazing moments in the Spirit. I mean, I could go on and on. I could testify all day about all the things that God did. God healed my daughter in 98 of a heart condition when she was born. So I'm starting to pray, and God's starting to respond. Then I was on the road playing keyboards with a guy named Eric Burden, who was part of the British invasion in the 60s, and I was playing keyboards for him. So I was on the road a lot when my kids were little, and I began to pray, Jesus, if you're real, show me a way I'm trapped we had bought our first house. Wow. I didn't know how to get off the road. How do I get off the road? You know? And then this record company just out of the blue sent us a fax with an offer to license. That was before email. So I got a fax in the dark ages. We got a fax saying we want to license your Spock's Beard records. And it wasn't that much money, but sometimes you know when God's speaking to you. You know, I knew it was the Lord.
Yeah.
And so I stepped out and I quit that band. And then, I'm just going further and further into Jesus. And then, there's a difference between, like in the Andrew Show and in the book God Smuggler, there's a chapter called The Step of Yes.
Yes.
And so I wrote this song called The Step of Yes. And that's wonderful. And in the show, then after that, Wetzler, his neighbor and mentor, says, the step of yes is wonderful. It's like a brand new day, but you must learn to walk with him. There's a distinction. The step of yes is a landmark. But the full discipleship for me was another further step. Like, okay, like where Jesus says, he who lays down his life for my sake will find it. Yes. And you're like, okay. And that was around 2001. And I think not very long after that, about a year after that, then the Lord called me out of my bands. And in a moment of prayer, I was walking in a moment of prayer. I felt like when God deals with me, it's in very few words.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like the Lord just sort of quietly said to me, it's time. And, the time for what? Like I knew. And I knew it was time to come out of the bands and change direction. It was a directional change. And so that was, oh God, not only my livelihood, but other people's livelihood.
Right. The pressure of, your family and everybody else as well. Their families.
And to work. So, the whole thing about in the world of, like the classic line in Flashdance, you got to have a dream. You give up your dream, you die. We're so like into, like, especially in America, like, live your dream, and this whole thing, and my dream was to have an audience and to, what I wanted to do with my life was make great records that really impacted people and be able to support my family doing my own music.
Right.
Because up until all through my 20s and 30s, and this is I think it's a pretty late blooming thing. I mean, I'm 40 in 2000, right? So to come to that so late in life, like, wow, I'm actually only doing my own music and we're doing okay. And then, I mean, on so many levels, what was going to happen in the audience, like I finally got an audience and now
you have to step away or you're going to change or what?
Well, it was like the Lord had brought me so far and I had this vision. When I was praying in church and I had this vision and I saw myself. And worship is going on, like the whole Pentecostal worship's going on, and I'm just sitting there crying, and I'm seeing myself like I've walked all the way up like a mountain, and I'm at the edge of a waterfall, and like the waterfall's to my left, and there's all this mist around like a chasm there, and I'm standing at the edge, and I felt like the Lord was like, it's time for you to jump in all the way or go back the way you came.
Wow.
And I didn't want to go back.
Yeah.
By that time, we'd done I was in this beautiful relationship with him. I didn't want to go back, to the world or whatever even that meant.
Yeah.
I wanted to go on with him, but I didn't want to jump into that mist and what's at the bottom, what's going to happen, And it was so interesting too. It's almost like the church was like the voices of the people that were down at the bottom that I couldn't see saying, go ahead, jump, let go, let God, go ahead. It's going to be so good. Right. Which is our job.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Our job is to encourage each other that God will, the main thing is to know it's him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Peter says before he gets out of the boat, Lord, if it's you, command me to get out of the, if it's you, command me to get out of the boat. So if you know it's him, and I knew it was him. So I stayed, and I was like, I was really scared. But then I jumped out, obviously, because all the things that happened on the other side of that,
right?
Which he would not show me.
No.
I begged.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's going to happen? What's going to happen to the band? What's going to happen with my relationship with my brother? What's going to happen with so many things? I was really concerned about the guys, the guys in Spock's beard.
Right.
We built this thing together.
Yeah.
That was, that's a once in a lifetime kind of thing.
Who else?
To get out there and, play a bunch of terrible gigs and build and really work hard and build something.
Right.
And we had a lot of fun together, and it was just a lot of tears and a lot. I went through a whole valley of Gethsemane experience. But then finally, it's like, well, Lord, if you want it, it's going to be good. And he kept encouraging me. And so I quit the bands in 2002. And wow, I'm taking too long, I'm sure. I'm sorry.
No, please.
But anyway, so then the first thing after that, I thought, okay, I've surrendered all. Here I am. Bless me. Go ahead, Lord. I've done it. Bless me. And there was a waiting period, Yes. It was interesting, but about 4 months, I'm very impatient also. It was like, bless me and bless me now.
Aren't we all? Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Anyway, so about 3 or 4 months later, I thought maybe God was going to use me in Christian music or in, I don't know. I was just surrender. Whatever you want to do. I'll work at Starbucks, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And,
wow.
And then about 4 months later, after I quit the bands, before anybody knew, because the labels, there was an album called Snow that we had just finished and delivered. And then there's this, so over the summer was this preparation period, and they said, don't announce it now. We don't want it to hurt the sales of the album. So we sort of made this deal that we would announce it like 30 days after the album was released. And so that's what we did. And it was horrible. I had to do a whole interview season. Like,
oh, knowing that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like 7 interviews a day or something.
Man.
And it must have been I apologize if any of you people that interviewed me during that time. I was a terrible interview. I was in a stupor. I was so, I was going through it, and I didn't know what to say. What could I say? What a withhold, And
I'm sure people are asking like, oh, what's next? And what are we?
Right. All these things like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible. But then I began to hear music not unlike the music that I had been doing, this progressive rock music. And I had this idea to write my Christian testimony in that style, like a concept album.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if it was God. God doesn't, sometimes he does, but most of the time with me, with creative things, like with Brother Andrew too, it's like, try it. Write it. Let's see. There's this exploration time, which I'm usually like, well, it can't hurt anything to write it. I don't have to release it. We don't have to do anything with it. I can just write it. I love writing, so let's go write it. So I wrote Testimony that fall. Oh gosh, I'll just fast forward. So that wound up being pretty successful.
Yeah.
Shockingly. Because it's very, very Jesus oriented. Because one of the things that was going on with me, I was like a person that kind of has to keep a secret for a while. And then once you can tell it, you're just like, I just want to tell the whole world,
Yeah.
Because on the previous Spock's album, because remember, I'm coming to the Lord, and so I'm experiencing all these beautiful things in the Spirit, and so that's what's coming out of my heart. So that's what I'm writing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm writing things like Love Beyond Words and Open Wide the Floodgates and I Will Go, based on the book of Ruth. Where you go, I will go. I will go before the gate goes down. When you hear the calling sound. It was about me going on.
Yeah.
And it was, but I felt like I always had to veil everything.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't really say, I'm talking about Jesus, or I'm talking about the Holy Spirit. Right. Mm-hmm. So I was so happy on the Testimony album. I was like, I knew it was him. I knew it was Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like, it just felt so good to just say it. Just sing it. And the thing that's so great is it really touched a lot of people. Of course, I lost lost a lot of the audience. Mm-hmm. Maybe like, at that time, I don't know, maybe like 2/3 or something like that. They didn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
And I understand that, because there are lots of times in my life when I didn't want to hear it either. But a lot of people came along. A lot of atheists still to this day will come to my concerts. Like we've done, I guess you almost say like revivals of Testimony. We played Testimony in London 2 years ago.
Wow.
And so many people came, and not all of them Christians. They still love it. Mm-hmm. And what a great thing. It's the greatest place that God's brought me to. It's so wonderful to be able to sing about Jesus to people that don't know him. Mm-hmm. And there'll be like posts. I remember when Testimony came out, some guy was saying, I don't know what's going on. I'm just driving in my car by myself, listening to I Am Willing, and I can't stop crying. So the Holy Spirit is working,
yes.
and we don't even know. Like he doesn't know, and sometimes I'll tell people, but sometimes I'm just like the Lord will help them to figure it out. I don't want to like hit them over the head with it, like that's the Lord,
right?
Dude,
Exactly.
I've heard that after concerts, because many times at my concerts, the Spirit of God will fall.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people don't know what's happening, but they're feeling it. Like they're feeling it. They're actually experiencing, God at a like a secular rock festival. Mm-hmm. And I remember this very tall Scottish guy coming up to me at the end of this very long day at a progressive rock festival in Germany. And like it was this big, tall warrior looking guy, big tears in his eyes, like, what did you do to me, man?
Whoa.
That's a terrible accent, but
no, but I feel the
what did you do? I said, I didn't know. That's the Lord, man. Come on. Yeah. And that guy's still around. Really? I saw him something we did in the UK like 2 years ago. So anyway, it's wonderful. So fast forward to Brother Andrew. At the beginning of 2021, I joined my son's Bible study. Mm-hmm. He had this little, him and 5 of his friends, 5 young guys, were reading the Bible regularly and talking about it. And they were also reading books. Mm-hmm. And when I came in, said, well, we're reading this book, God Smuggler. I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard of that guy. And anyway, so I had to catch up because I came in late. And so I got the audiobook and I was listening to it a lot and getting really inspired, on the elliptical in the morning, just crying, listening to Andrew's story and relating to it so much. And then the conversations that I had with these young guys was just, wow, this is really inspiring, because it was really turning them on, like to what's possible in God, and what's greater than that, right?
Yeah, the book fires you up. I hadn't read it the last time that we had spoken, and I'm currently doing a book club series on Instagram where I'll read like 5 chapters and then I'll kind of talk about it with the audience, and I encourage our audiences to read along.
Oh, awesome.
And so I just finished reading up to chapter 10, and so I know the step of yes, and to see how like just the very beginning of his mission and his calling, like I can see how it could fire up them I feel fired up, and everybody who I know who is reading the book feels fired up by it. It's incredible.
Yeah. There's so many great things.
Yeah.
I wish we could have put them all in the show.
Yeah.
It's what a challenge to try to condense what to leave in and what to leave out, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, I woke up one morning and felt like I should write it, and I wasn't sure what it was. Still not exactly sure. It could be lots of things. We're changing it. We're changing it as we're going.
4 days till opening.
Right. Yeah. We're still working on it. You know?
Right.
That's the way it is in the creative world. Yeah. But anyway, I was like, okay, I think you mean God Smuggler. Let's put our toes in the water and see. And so I began just opening the book and writing songs. And I go, oh, wow. Hey, I think there's something there. That's pretty good. Like one of the early ones was Get Smart and Lose Your Mind.
Can I tell you? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt your story again, but as you guys are doing your rehearsals, the songs get recorded, so I think cast members can watch it back and kind of see what they're doing. Yeah. And I have access to that drive, and I will on occasion go into that drive and just start listening to the music.
Oh, great.
Get Smart and Lose Your Mind is my favorite song. I think
really
every time I listen to it, it's so powerful, and the way that our actors sing it, it gives me chills because you can feel the pain, you can hear it, and you in reading the book, you know where it's going and you know what its purpose is, but it still doesn't make the current moment any easier. And you know that you're searching for something, but you just haven't found it. It's so good. It's one of my favorite songs. But sorry.
Great. No, I'm so glad. Yeah. Well, that was one of the really early ones,
right?
And A New World. You know, with the communist manifesto being in there, and you know, so there were enough little pieces of the puzzle that, you know, kind of it snowballed, and I was like, every day. I mean, there were some days I'd write maybe 2, maybe even 3 songs a day. I had in a pretty short time, I had like 45 songs.
Yeah,
and I was like, wow, what am I going to do with all this? I wrote. I don't know. I had like 10 songs just about his childhood. So I'm like, I was thinking, well, there's no way this has to be a series, like a Netflix series or something, you know? And so I started kicking around with different people that I know. And this guy I know that works in Christian film, he said, well, you know, you could kind of plan it like in an episodic way and write like 4 songs an episode. So I got all turned on about that and started writing episodes with 4 songs an episode. So I had like 50 songs, and around that time, and then that kind of dissipated because my friend pitched it to I think he said the head of like the Sony Christian Film department, Angel, I guess.
Oh,
I think it's called, right? I heard that it was pitched to the executives there, and they declined. Said they'd been pitched God Smuggler before and they declined it. But anyway, I heard that through my friend.
Right.
And around that time, I sent the songs to Jason Hart, who I'd met at that rock festival in Germany I was talking about. He was playing with a different band, and we met there. And he told me he was a music director on Broadway. And so I sent him these songs because we've been talking and hanging out some, and he really he thought the songs really had merit. And so he went into a Facebook like interest group, or
I think they're called groups, or like they're not chat rooms, but
it's sort of like what a chat room used to be for people that are interested in musical theater and progressive rock. He went in there, and you know, people are talking about different things, like, have you heard this, blah, blah, blah. And I think he said, has anybody ever heard of Neal Morse in here? And then some people are like, oh, yeah. And, well, Neal's written some, you know, songs for like a musical based on this book, God Smuggler. And Jamie McGann, who's now the creative director, he was not here at the George Theater. He was not at that time.
Right.
But he said, he starts talking to Jason in the chat and like, oh, yeah, well, I'm probably going to take this gig at the George Theater in Houston, and this might be great. I mean, I think it'd be perfect. And anyway, that was towards the end of 21, and now here we are in 26.
Which is, I now reading the book and seeing so for anybody who doesn't know, God's Smuggler, we follow Brother Andrew basically as kind of his journey in finding Christ and eventually smuggling Bibles behind the Iron Curtain.
Right.
And there's so much in the book about faith, at least where I am right now is blind faith. And it's so fascinating to hear your story. And I've heard Jason tell the story. I've heard Jamie tell the story. And it's so cool to see how Brother Andrew, there are so many, you can see the steps of how he's going to get where he's going to get. And God is opening doors for him. And God is asking him to take this leap of faith, right? And to take this risk. Mm-hmm. And then to see in all of your stories how there's always this kind of, leap of faith. And you guys found each other before Jamie even worked here. And you knew Jason from a concert and I think God is so cool. And how we ended here is so amazing.
Yeah, I orchestrated this whole thing. It's
right.
Just, yeah. It's pretty crazy. I'm inspired by that, It's like one of the things I love about the Andrew story is, and what I wanted to bring out is that God created each person in a certain way with, propensities and, personality and things. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't usually like completely change that when we come to him.
Right.
The new creation is filled with his spirit, but it still has, God used, you can see in Andrew's life mm-hmm. how adventurous he was. Like he was a risk taker all along.
Yeah, since a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, throwing firecrackers at the Nazis and, many of the different things. So you try to I tried to show like, well, he's this impulsive guy and then God takes that, in the same way, like all the things about me or you, like I have this propensity, I love music. He knows what we love. He built that in us.
Right.
And then he'll take that and use it for his glory. And there's nothing greater. Yes. It's really the very best thing, the very best life that you can live is when you, I think everyone would agree if they felt it, like if they could feel like, or maybe they do sometimes and they don't necessarily even know it. Like those moments, like for an athlete, like when you're just totally in it and you feel like you're doing what you're born to do.
Yeah.
I think God can bring those kinds of things and make those kinds of things happen. Like what's happening for me here. I've always wanted to. One of my revelations in my early 30s was that I had become this brooding singer-songwriter, and I didn't really, I was unhappy, so a lot of my songs were really sad and unhappy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people really relate to that, by the way, more than like joyful songs. They don't like those as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
But I was like, I never wanted to become this. When I was young, I wanted to write big pieces of music. I wanted to write West Side Story or,
Wow.
I wanted to. Wow. So I was always, in my 20s, I wrote a musical called Homeland. And then in my early 30s, I wrote a musical called Hitman. And then I've always wanted to do something in the theater, and here I am 65 and it's finally happening.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing. See, there's so much, I have so many questions, but that's the other thing that you see of like, we think it's when you're in your 30s, or you're talking about when you were in your 40s and like, suddenly now things feel like they're clicking into place, or suddenly I'm moving in the direction. And it's also our society. We feel like we're being pressured to, okay, in your 20s or in your 30s, you have to know what you're doing and this is what you're going to do. And you have to stay here. And it's like, we don't have control over that. And it's society and it's pressure around us telling us that that's what we have to have. And it's, you can be in your 60s or you could be in your 50s or you can have it figured out by 20s, but God is the one who is leading us and is guiding us. And
Sure. Yeah. It needs to happen in his time.
In his time. Yeah. And that doesn't make it easy by any means. I am also a very impatient person. Right. So I also want all of the answers shown to me right now.
Yeah.
But we have to, that's the blind faith, right? And that's him lighting just our next step and not the entire future. And Yeah, no,
Oh,
it's
can I share with you
yes, please.
where that part of that's in the show, right?
Oh, I didn't know that was in the show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. After the step of yes, I think it's the next kind of big song is One Step at a Time.
Okay. Yeah.
Wetzler sings that to Andrew. And I used what the guy, my friend Rob Massey, who's now the pastor of New Life Fellowship in Nashville, where I go to church. But at the time, he was not, but he was speaking in church. And this was when I was in the valley of decision about whether I was going to quit my bands.
Yeah.
And he said, so I'm paraphrasing, he said something like, he was tying in, your word is a lamp for my footstep and a light for my pathway. And he was tying that in within Corinthians where it says, the things of God are foolish to the wise. And he said, God's not going to give us a floodlight to our future, but he'll just light up our next step. And if we're foolish enough to take the next step, he'll light our way all the way, to eternity, essentially. And that was so much of what I needed because I was trying to figure it all out. And I couldn't, and so that I have Wetzler actually basically say that in the song to Andy.
I didn't realize that. That's incredible.
Yeah. It's really cool.
It's interesting. So the last time that we had spoken, hearing myself and hearing the questions that I was asking you in the place where I was in my life at that point was very much kind of trying to put on a brave face and I was raised Catholic, but didn't have this faith in me and was really struggling with that. And I can see it in this small clip that I have of just kind of putting on that veneer of like, oh, I know the right things to say and I know the right things, but I don't believe. And so for that file to get corrupted and for that to not work anymore and for us to have this conversation now of within the last 6 months having my faith renewed
wow, that's
being
great.
able to hear your testimony and see how and read God's Smuggler and see Brother Andrew and see how all these things feel like they're suddenly kind of clicking into place for me, or some stuff is starting to like move down a path. And it very much is this I want to talk more about Brother Andrew, but I do have a question for you kind of personally and selfishly of how you want to take that next step and you hear God's voice and you want to take that risk and he's telling you to take a leap. You talk about the vision that you saw with the mountain in the mist.
Jumping out.
How have you in your life discerned kind of that voice of God versus anxiety? Because I feel like it can, like, sometimes you talk yourself out of it of like, oh, that's not really what he's saying. I'm just making that up because that's what I think I need to do, how have you kind of like discerned that?
Yeah. Well, that is the crux.
Yeah.
That gets back to like, Lord, if it's you.
Yeah.
And that's something that I don't think you can ever know it for sure. It is the whole thing's a work of faith. We're dealing with the unseen God, but there is a witness inside. And once you get to know that better and better, it becomes a little easier to discern. But especially about the big things and the hard things, and sometimes the things that I would really want to do anyway.
Yeah.
Right? The things that I know my flesh wants to do. Like I'll give you a good example. After we made Testimony, I had offers to go tour it. But I only wanted to do it if the Lord wanted me to do it. I didn't want to just go do what I would normally do.
Right. Yeah.
And I enjoy playing before audiences, and I really wanted to do it. And the offers were pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was money but I wanted to make sure it was God. So I just, I prayed a lot and I consulted with my pastor about it and different things. So that's always good to counsel with others too. Ultimately, I just had to go, okay, Lord, this is what I'm feeling. I'm going to take this step and I'm going to try. Don't let me make a mistake. If your heart's really, I think, what does Jesus say? if anyone's will is to do the will of God, he will know that I am the Messiah, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, so if our will really is to do the will of God, he'll, even if maybe he'll find you and he'll turn you in the right direction. Yeah. I that was my prayer. Like, okay, like especially about the big things about like quitting the bands was, Lord, this is what I'm feeling. Okay, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. Show me it's the right thing. And he did. And that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, sometimes like you can put something out there like, stay my hand if this isn't your will, you know, like with Abraham and Isaac, you know, stay my hand at the end, you know, my ears are tuned, you know, if you want, anytime you want to change this, because I really didn't want to quit, to be honest.
Well, that's just the issue, right? Of course, your flesh is crying out, and you want to do the things that, make you feel good, or you think is going to get you ahead, and it's so hard to say no to those things and to fully put to say, because there's a difference, of course, in saying it and truly believing that yes, your will is the way, and that is what I want to follow, is your will.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't make it easy by any means, and I think that's the thing that like I keep reiterating when I'm talking to people about it and reading about it, and again, watching Brother Andrew or reading God Smugglers, like, and I think the book does a really good job as well, and I'll be really excited to see the fullness of the show of, yes, there are these miraculous things happening, right? And we can always retrospectively look back and go, oh yes, this is how he was working, and here is how he was, but in the moment, it's hard. It's so difficult in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and it can be. Yeah, well, you know, it's a walk of trust, and I think that thing that God gave me, it's time, and you know. I think many times we really know. We know in our heart of hearts what we need to do. We may not understand it, but we know. And so I that's my prayer for myself and others when I pray for people, that you know, that they would know. The fence is hard. Right.
Yeah.
100% out, 100% in. Right. Being on the fence is like, you know, I pray that we would know your will and your way, and give us the power to carry it out, Lord.
Yeah. Okay. I just needed to selfishly ask that question, because I think that all of this was meant to happen. But getting back to Brother Andrew.
Yes.
So you talk about when you were first told, yes, write it. That it just sort of like poured out of you, and you ended up writing 45 songs or 50 songs. What was that process like?
It's not always the same way, but
yeah,
some of these songs, when I'm thinking about it, I was on vacation. I was in Cancun. Gosh, I was a friend's birthday party down there, and I just wake up in the morning and I was thinking about Papa and Ilsa, and her cheering him up. I always think there's something really touching about that. I was in an opera when I was very young, and I played this crippled boy named, it's a Christmas opera called Amal and the Night Visitors. You can look it up. But there's this touching scene where the crippled boy is encouraging the mother. And I thought that would be really sweet to bring that in. And so I just remember I got snuck out really early. I sometimes wake up really early, like 5 a.m. You know, my wife's still asleep. I don't want to wake her up. I grab my little baby keyboard and I sneak out and I go down and sit on a bench looking the ocean. I start going, dun, 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 dun. You know, sometimes I'll just play something. Oh, that's nice. It's all right, Papa. Dun, dun, dun. And what would he say back to her? And so it's usually just a real natural thing like that. Or I wrote a song I think during that same time about Bass. You remember his? It's not in the show. There's a ton of stuff that we just didn't have time for.
Unfortunately.
His brother Bass. I thought that was a really interesting and sympathetic character. And I remember Andrew going in and laying on his brother as he was dying. I mean, you could do definitely a whole episode about Bass, right? But I wrote a song about that, and it's just like you just get in the space, and start things. Sometimes I'll hear things before I start playing. But other times I'll just sit down and, what would that sound like? You know, it should be a march. Dun, dun, dun. We are free. We are strong. Oh, what else should they say? And I'll Google things like I Googled the Communist Manifesto to write that song.
Wow.
Like,
okay.
Seize the means of production. Oh, okay. So we have seized all the means of production, you know? And that's so much fun when it all comes together and you're like, oh, wow. Hey, that's really good.
Yeah. I can imagine it, like the coming out of it and be like, whoa, okay, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was so exciting. My wife's asleep.
Yeah.
That one was in Florida. We were in Florida that time. I don't know why. I think a lot of times at home I'm so busy with finishing this record or doing a lot of other things. Sometimes on vacation I'll write more just songs and things, So anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of those songs pouring out of you, and you have written so many songs that don't all get to make it into what is Brother Andrew. What is that process like of having to cut songs out?
Very painful.
Yeah.
No, not really. I mean, it is, but I'm kind of used to it. On these concept albums that we make, I make with others, there's a lot of ideas that don't make it, Me and the bands will get like a white erase board and put all the ideas that everybody has on the erase board. And sometimes the things get used. Sometimes it doesn't find a home. And you just think, well, let's save that for the next one. It'll find its home eventually, So I was happy with the challenge of trying to make this flow because it's different. It's a totally different thing to like think 4 songs an episode than a sung through musical.
Right. Yeah.
And my challenge was, how am I going to move this story along? How are we going to, it's not like on a series where you can say, 1914 Nuremberg or whatever
right.
in the corner and then move around in time. We can't really do that. So how are we going to move around in time? Because we've got to.
Right. And locations in different countries.
Right, yeah. So there were I'll be honest, there were different musicals that I saw on the stage during these years that influenced Brother Andrew.
Yeah.
One of them was The Music Man. I was privileged to see that with Hugh Jackman and Sutton Foster on Broadway.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. with my family. It was great. A really amazing production. Oh my gosh. And also I saw Hamilton at TPAC in Nashville. Both great. The thing that I learned from Hamilton that was really important was like, oh my goodness, that's the answer. They tell the first, 25 years of Hamilton's life in the opening song.
In the opening song, yep.
The ensemble just tells it.
Yep.
I'm like, well, we're not going to do that, but we can have an ensemble just tell the story.
Yeah.
And bring us to places, and then the ensemble says, meanwhile in Romania, during the Russian occupation, so there's these ensemble sections leading into the solos. And so I learned that. And from Music Man, I learned quite a few things. One of them was Iowa Stubborn, one of the songs. Like they basically have the people from the town just come out and sort of sing this funny song, just sort of illustrating the personality of the people in the town. And I kind of borrowed that idea in Brother Andrew, as well as some other things from that. But anyway, everything I would see or something, I would think, oh, maybe that will help.
Right.
So just looking for ways to condense this man's life story into 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, which is, it sounds almost impossible.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that you want to tell.
There's so much that you want to tell.
Yeah.
And what's the most important thing? And my collaborators, Jamie McGann and Jason Hart, really helped pare things down. And we still are. Yeah. I'm still, now that we're watching the show, I'm lying awake at night after rehearsals going, would it be better if we just cut that part? I mean, I really love that part. Yeah. But would it be better you want it to flow. It's all about the flow.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Every scene, every line has a purpose, but do we need to know that? Would it be okay? Or then it's like, could we cut this song and just add these few lines?
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to be as succinct as possible. I mean, too long is a problem.
Well, you don't want to lose your audience, and you want to make sure that they're following along as well. And
and they have a good experience all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
That it isn't like, I enjoyed the first act, but wow, that second act, oh boy,
got a little no, of course,
So it's great and the people that I'm working with God's really put me with the right people.
I mean, I don't know how else to say it, and I can't wait for people to come and see the show, and I can't wait to see the show myself. You can't help but feel, and even when you're listening to the music as well, and I know when I see it on stage, it's kind of what you were talking about at the beginning with like some of the concerts that you would go to or that you would perform, and you'd have atheists coming up and feeling it though they didn't believe, there's still the feeling of truth that just kind of resonates. And I'm so excited to experience that because I'm already experiencing a small bit of it, like I said, in these like rehearsal videos that I'm watching. And so
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like we do what we can. We do the possible.
Right.
And my prayer is always, Lord, do the impossible, do the inner. We've created this show, but it's kind of like the loaves and the fishes. We make our little offering. But if God touches it, then it can feed
abundance,
thousands and thousands. And that's, of course, our prayer for the show is that it'll explode with his blessing in whatever way he wants to do that.
I can't wait for it. I really can't. And I know that you guys are still working on it. Okay, I have a couple of final like little lightning round questions for you. I know it's difficult, but if you had to pick a favorite song in Brother Andrew, what would your favorite song be?
Ooh, wow. Probably Step of Yes for me.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of, it's a solo, it's him in the dark.
Yeah.
And the way Daniel delivers it, the wonderful actor who's portraying Brother Andrew it's just, I think it's going to bring a standing O every night.
Let's pray. Yes.
It's so touching and it's amazing. At rehearsals, it's amazing. So I don't know. I hope people feel the same way I do about it. Great. Yeah.
Going in line with kind of where I am in Brother Andrew, and I know that it's in God's Smuggler, and I know it's going to continue throughout the rest of the book, which I can't wait to read. How if you can think recently, has God kind of taken that next step with you? I just think of in God's Smuggler, all of the instances like with the cake when he's on one of his mission trips, or the providing the money and all of that kind of stuff.
The cake in Scotland.
Yeah,
I remember that.
So
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
How if there is anything that you can think of recently, has God kind of like provided for you? If you feel comfortable sharing a story.
Oh my, well, I mean, it's so often, it's all the time. But, just recently, well, I mean, there was a bunch of financial stuff that hit me. And it didn't seem like there was any way that I was going to be able to pay everyone and everything that I needed to pay. There was this storm of events that happened that were, left me wondering if I had done something wrong. That whole it was a real challenge to my faith. It was a storm for me. And I just kept praising God through it, doing all the things that I know to do and trusting him that he's going to work all things together for good, and trying to, listen to encouraging podcasts every morning and not staying in it and continuing to worship. For me, a lot of times those kinds of miracles are like with Elijah and the widow woman, where the oil never runs out.
Yeah.
It's just like, it isn't like suddenly, he didn't just, I didn't get some kind of windfall of, a bunch of money to pay everybody with. It was more like just somehow,
Yeah.
I had enough, and I was able to take care of everything, and we're good. And
Yeah.
but I couldn't see that. I couldn't see how that would happen like 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so it's over, and it got resolved.
Yeah.
And it's all good for us. And I wish we wouldn't have had gone through it as a family, but we did.
Of course.
And anyway, it's just like kind of okay. Well, praise the Lord.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'll be vulnerable with you as well. Recently, I've been having a lot of health issues. And I'm very blessed to be surrounded by the friends that I'm surrounded by and by the family that I'm surrounded by. But they know that when I get really stressed and I get really anxious, that I don't take care of myself, and I'll stop eating and I'll do things like that. And so very recently, I mean, within the past like 4 days, it's been every day a friend or a parent has come to my apartment and has brought me food without me asking or telling anybody what necessarily I'm going through. And I see that of, yes, that's the love of my friends, it's the love of my family, but I see that that's God in those moments providing and going, hey,
Right.
we need you to keep going, and I'm here for you, and I'm going to help you through this, and leaning on him. And so it's something like
That's
that
great.
that I love. I also love experiencing or reading other people's or seeing other people's stories as well.
Yeah.
It's very encouraging in a time like this.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. And we all need to be encouraged. He's the sustainer. He's the provider.
Yeah.
He really is. I can sing those worship songs about like, he's never let me down. I spend my life on Jesus. He's never let me down.
Yeah.
I can really say that. I mean, you can't say that about very many things, especially with the promises that our Lord makes to us. And it isn't like I haven't had any challenges, because I have had some pretty major ones, even in this last year, in my personal life. But that's my testimony. He's brought me through, and that he's given me me and Jamie were talking about it yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like he's not given us any reason to doubt that he will bring us through again.
Right.
Like that Do It Again song. I've seen you move.
Yeah.
You move the mountain, and I believe I'll see you do it again. Yeah. Yeah, he'll do it again. Aren't we always like sort of waiting for him to drop us?
Yes.
Yeah.
And why do we,
It's just our nature.
It is our nature.
Yeah.
It's human nature, but it is kind of like, okay, how are we gonna get out of this
How
one?
are we gonna get out of this one? Yeah. Yeah, and it should be. And I really was there I had my weeks where I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
But most of the time I was like, well, Lord, I'm looking forward to, we really should be thinking, how are you, I don't see how this is possible. How are you going to deliver us this time? But I know you will. And I'm really looking forward to seeing, how are you going to do it?
Yeah,
Lord?
yeah.
So I'm almost like, how is the magician going to pull the rabbit out of the hat this time?
Yes. One of my favorite lines from the book right now is, I can't remember it exactly, but it's about obedience. And he said, that's the thing about obedience, is seeing what God had intended after the fact. I'm like, that's so good. Because you don't know in the moment.
Right.
But it is a fun kind of, there's this worry in it of like, okay, how are we going to get out of this? But then also like, okay, but he's got me. And how is he going to, like, how are we going to?
Well, and there's also the thing about, but it's my fault. I started to blame myself, like, well, what did I do wrong? And surely there were things that I did wrong, but if God didn't help us when we were wrong, where would any of us be?
What would be,
Like, come on.
That's the whole.
It's kind of the whole thing, right? About mercy.
And
right.
grace. And
you don't need mercy if you're not guilty, right?
And we are.
Yeah. And so, anyway, he'll bring us through again and again.
Okay, final question, and I'll let you go. What are you most excited for audiences to experience with Brother Andrew?
Oh, well, so many things. I would like for them to go on the whole journey of the whole thing, the exhilaration, the disappointment, the despair, the surrender.
Yeah.
and the lifting up and the sending and the challenges of that. The second act is really all about Andrew thinking he needs to do it all himself, and him dying to self further in his work, and and then ultimately the gift of being able to be such a profound blessing to others. Andrew was such a profound blessing to the people in Romania, and I only just chose these two people in Romania because I was just thinking, well, we need to have a focus of his ministry that people can relate to. But of course, his ministry was worldwide.
Yeah.
And I had the really blessed experience to have dinner with Brother Andrew's son when I was in Holland about 3 or 4 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Wow.
He came down. I was in a place called Tilburg and had a night off, and we had dinner. And I learned so much that got used in the show. Like Not Even His Family Knew is in the opening song. I didn't realize that his son didn't know what he did for a living, even like till he was like 20 or something.
My goodness.
Yeah, and things about his mother, because there isn't that much in the book about his mother. So, at one point she says, sometimes I wish I was him going out doing missions. That was from Jaap, their son.
Yeah.
So I think my mom really, she could never go because she was staying home with the kids, but she wanted to.
Yeah.
Her heart was for mission. So they were together in the heart of it. Yeah. It's a beautiful story, and I can't believe that we're actually doing it.
I know.
Yeah,
we're so close.
It's taking shape, man.
Oh my goodness. Well, Neal, is there anything else that you would like to talk about Brother Andrew before I let you go? Is there did I miss any questions or anything that
I don't
audiences
think so.
need to know about this?
I probably said too much already.
No. Okay. Neal, thank you so much for sitting down with me today and just chatting.
Great. Yeah. Maybe this one will actually get...
Oh my goodness. As soon as we stop recording, I am going to put them on my computer.
Right, maybe back them up.
And back them up, yes. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of By George. Again, thank you so much, Neal, for sitting down and talking with me about Brother Andrew. You guys, get your tickets to come see the show. It is opening on April 3rd. So come get your tickets. Come with an open mind and just ready to experience the fullness of this story. It is a sung through musical as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know it is as well.
Great. It's great fun, and it's everything. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. This has been By George, an 80 Players at the George Theater podcast, hosted and produced by Miranda Zapes. Listen anywhere you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Instagram at By George Theater. That's THEATRE. Sure to like, share, and subscribe. And By George, we'll see y'all next time.